Okay, so today we have the Prodigy and Breathe, and we have the video here, the edited version. I apologize if you wanted me to react to the long one, but just the thumbnail of this video grabbed me, and I thought, well, I'll do that, and I think it has more views. Anyway, so let's get into this one. I haven't reacted to the Prodigy since Firestarter, I believe, and I loved Firestarter. But anyway, this was the next single, I guess, and we're going to try this one, talk about it after. Let's go. Gracious. Whipping. God. Almost like post-punky in a way. Moly. And the bugs. My God. And a crocodile. Ugh. Okay, there it is. Holy moly, the Prodigy and Breathe. So like I said at the top, I did Firestarter, I believe, last year at this point. And Keith Flint, if I remember correctly, that was the first song he ever sang lead vocals on. And of course, he's on this song too. And Maxim Realty, I guess is how you would say his last name there, is sharing lead vocals with him. And like I said too, when I came into this, the thumbnail of Maxim in the the face paint, you would say. It was also on his body. He had the contact lenses in, I want to say, just staring daggers through you right into your soul. And his look, just striking, just kind of scary in a way. He looks like he's, and in the video, he looks like he's out of control. And so does Keith. I mean, my God, Keith with his hair, you know, the two things here, I mean, my God, and both colored differently. And his voice. Talk about his voice. I mean, a word that comes to mind is twisted, exaggerated, almost reminiscent. And I don't remember what I said in my last video I did on them, so maybe I'm repeating myself. But either way, almost reminiscent of Johnny Rotten as a fan of the Sex Pistols. Just the way he would exaggerate words and with his accent. I mean, it's an accent to me, I guess. But, you know, the way he would say game, you know, come play my game. Just like he's maneuvering his mouth. His mouth. I mean, my God, you talk about his mouth, his tongue. I don't know if people, others, utilize their tongue like Keith Flint has. Maybe Gene Simmons, I guess. But I like how at the start of the video, and I don't know if the video will get blocked or what will happen, but at the start of the video when it kind of shows each member of the band, and then you come to Keith, and he's just headbanging, his tongue's flying everywhere, and it's just like, holy crap, he's just so intense, he's such a character, such a unique character as well, so distinct, just his look, his voice, everything like that. He was one of a kind. I mean, my God. And his dancing, his dance moves, you have to dance. I mean, my God, they're dancing in the video. Leroy, the dancer, of course, who's been in some of their videos. I want to say I saw that this was his last video he was in, I think. But anyway, Leroy's in the video. And like I was saying, Keith is dancing all around, and how can you not? I mean, he's part of the band doing it, and he's dancing. And this just seems perfect for the dance floor, I guess you would say. I don't go to, clubs, and of course I didn't go to them in the 90s either, because I wasn't really alive. But yeah, I can just imagine when this came out, and I want to say 1996, was it? Hold on, let me scroll up, and you could talk amongst yourselves. 1996, November 11th, my goodness, almost 28 years at this point when I'm recording this. But yeah, I mean, my God, I forget what I was saying. Yes, the dance floor stuff. And it doesn't really matter. Of course, the lyrics, there's a lot of repetition here. And that's, the lyrics here are not, they are important, I guess you would say, but they're not, so important. When you're on the dance floor, when you're dancing to this, when you're in the mosh pit, whatever, if you went to a concert of theirs, especially when Keith was still with us, maybe even during this time, when you're dancing around, I don't think you might care about what they're talking about. You just love the funky style of it, how upbeat it was, even though it was scary and there was points of like darkness, especially with the video too. There's a lot of upbeatness to it, if that's the word, upbeatness. But anyway, and the funky bass line, like I said, the sampling here, you have the sword sampling, I do believe I read, they took from Wu-Tang Clan, and which again fit perfectly, because I love when Keith would whip his head around and you would hear the sword sounds, and I guess that's what it is, sword sounds, but just the whipping of it, and yeah, like I said, just fit perfectly, because Keith's head it's almost like, oh, his head's whipping around. But anyway, so that was great. But yeah, so the sampling was perfect here. Of course, the synthesizers were perfect as well. And just, I mean, it's a party. I mean, what else can you say? It's a dance party. It's electronic. It's electro here. And at points, there was like the guitar line that came in kind of by itself. I do believe it was a guitar. Might have been the bass. I can't remember now off the top of my friggin' head. I just listened to it. But it almost reminded me of like Peter Hook. And I know Peter Hook's a bassist, but it just had that dark, raw sound to it. Either way, but I love that part anyway. And yeah, and like I said, it's just raw. This band was so raw. And you talk about that, and I talk about everything I want to talk about, really. But I did see a quote here coming into this video, because I don't like to go into a video cold. But apparently Maxim talked about this song, and I was on genius.com here, and it said, I can't remember where I found it, but anyway, he talked about what the song's kind of about. And he basically just said the song's pretty much about the band and how he and Keith, when they would get together, I mean, what you saw in the video was almost what you would get in real life. The confrontation you saw, between, the only thing in between them was the wall with a hole in it. It looked like one of them maybe punched it, you'd think, just because of watching the video. But anyway, and I like the points when Maxim would put his hand through and Keith would back away. But again, it was so quick and all that stuff. But anyway, but it's so confrontational, and it's just, and they both look wild, and they're just like nuts. I mean, my God. And yeah, so I just love that. And you talk about confrontation, and I guess that's what the song is about. When you talk about the Prodigy, you're talking about tension, you're talking about intensity, and you're talking about, if you're going to one of their shows, especially back then, this is what you would expect. This kind of intensity, and this kind of rawness, and this kind of dancing around. And I can imagine Keith doing this. I've never seen a live version of it, a live performance of it, but I can just imagine Keith jumping all around the stage, and Leroy, if he's there too, jumping around the stage, I guess. But just dancing and just going nuts. That's what it's all about. And just breathing. I mean, my God. Of course, when you have a skim through the lyrics, when you hear the lyrics just through the song for the first time, you think about drugs. You think about maybe the side effects of drug use, perhaps, and what maybe a drug taking over your life. I mean, that comes to play too. But since I saw Maxim talk about how this pretty much has to do with the band as well, so I mean, I guess there's a couple different meanings you could talk about here. But this, at the same time, they're both very intense and both very just full of pressure, and you know, you could feel the tension here. Cut the tension with a knife, especially between the two of them in the video there, and of course the characters, you might say they're playing in the video, I don't know, but it's just so wild, and you talk about freedom here too. I mean, they seem to be so free, and they just seem, at the same time, maybe not, because they're both in different rooms and all this stuff, but I feel like that's what the song is kind of about in some way too. It's just talking about freedom and just feeling free to dance around, whatever the hell, and but at the same time, there does seem to be kind of a power dynamic here, a power struggle, I would say. But enough with that. So let's just get into the lyrics, I guess. And again, there's not that many. I don't want to repeat myself, so I'll talk about some of these verses and freaking choruses and stuff, because again, they are repeated a few times. And we talk about the refrain with Maxim right off the top. Breathe with me. Now, I just think about how Maxim talked about how this is kind of about the band and the intensity they had. I just talked about breathe with me. You know, you're listening to the band. You know, breathe with me. You know, I don't know. It just seems to be an invitation of some sort. And here we go. You know, breathe with me. It's so simplistic, but the way he says it with so much power and so much vigor, you might say, it's just, I mean, my God. Anyway, breathe the pressure, come play my game. And just, I love Keith's voice so much. I'll test you. Psychomatic, addict, insane. And the rhyming here, psychomatic. I remember from Firestarter, there were some big words he used. I say big words. I mean, psychomatic's not a huge word, but anyway, just some different wording that they use, and I like that a lot. Psychomatic, addict, insane, and that's repeated. And again, I talk about drug use. I mean, that's what comes to mind there, addict, insane. And I can imagine back then too, just the look of Keith Flint. I can imagine maybe some people thought he was insane, and I'm sure he didn't mind. I'm sure he liked that. But come play my game, I'll test you. I think about, again, if you come to one of the shows, I don't know, I'm just going off my big fat head here, but if you go to one of the shows at this time again, 1996, you know, the band would test you. You know, can you stand the heat? My God, can you stand the dancing? Can you stand the intensity? Can you stand the music? And just how powerful everything is, and how, I mean, just go on. And so that comes to mind too. But anyway, and come play the game if you want to go the whole drug way. Just talking about that pressure, you know, of drugs and being an addict and going insane, perhaps, anyway. Then we have the chorus here with Keith and Maxim. Come play my game. Inhale, you're the victim. I mean, I feel like that's kind of straightforward. You inhale, I think about, you know, if you take a substance perhaps, and then you are the victim at that point, I guess, because you did that. And then exhale. But also, the song's called Breathe. You're talking about inhale and exhale. We're talking about breathing. I mean, so that's great too. Then we have the chorus again, which I talked about already. I don't want to repeat myself. The refrain we have again, and everything just starts over. And again, you don't have to have a whole bunch of new verses, a whole bunch of new lines, whatever, because what he said is enough, and you can just repeat that and just keep rocking out, just keep dancing along, and just fucking losing your shit. So anyway, I guess that's all I got to say about the lyrics there, and all I really have to say about the song. So I don't feel like I have to go through this with a fine-tooth comb. It feels pretty straightforward in a way, again, and how Maxim said, he pretty much said it's all about the band and the pressure they felt and the intensity they brought. And I don't know if in 1996, and you guys could say it down below, I don't know if anyone sounded like the Prodigy. I wasn't alive then, so I don't know. But it's just like I haven't come across, nobody suggested a band that gives the same vibes, if you want to say that the Prodigy does, especially at this time with Firestarter and then here with Breathe, the two songs I've heard from them. It's just so much, and there's just so much coming at you. And like I said, it's unapologetic, it's punchy, it's fiery, it's ferocious, and they don't care if, you know, you can't take it. You know, it's just so much. So anyway, I love it though. It really gets you pumped up, and it, you know, wakes you up anyway too, because it is 2 a.m. as I do this. So anyway, I guess that's all I got to say. Finally came back to the Prodigy. It was a good time. Thanks for the request. I apologize for, you know, waiting this long. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, all this stuff. Really appreciate all the support. Rest in peace to Keith. I know it's been a while now, but again, he just, oh my God, what a voice, what a character he was. And I don't want to say character, but what a look he had. And he was just, I mean, he had to be a rock star. So anyway, thanks for everything. I'll talk to you guys again soon.